is going on, everybody? This is the PWZ podcast. My name is Rick Del Santo, the professor, if you will, and I have a very, very special guest today in Fly Ni Noreaga. What is going on?
Talk to him, big bro. Let him know. We live action, baby. We live action.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Before we get started, let's see if I have it here. And I promise not to be a dick about this on air. So I just want to give a birthday shout out to one of our biggest fans, Adonis.
That's my biggest
Thank you for
fan right
tuning
there. My biggest fan. Happy birthday to my number one fan, Adonis.
That's right. Thank you for tuning in and always being very supportive of the PWZ and, of course, the local independent wrestling circuit. So, before we get into talking about your wrestling career and such, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your youth and getting into professional wrestling, discovering it.
Well, for me, the first time I really ever discovered like independent wrestling was back in like 2015. My cousin ended up like finding PWA on Facebook because around the time I was doing a lot of backyard stuff, which was considered unsafe. And for me,
What
I
kid
always wanted
doesn't?
to pursue this. I always wanted to pursue this and rather than just stop the limit right there on YouTube, I really wanted to do this for a living. So I initially found a school that I could train at, which was PWA. I went to the first show, which was like way back in 2015 when I met Grappling Greg, Troy Stevens, Hippie Dickie Moon. Like a lot of guys were like synonymous in helping me like bring me up and like train me and stuff like that. Because when I got to PWA, I was in the youth classes training with Gibbs. So it's like wrestling for me was always something for me, no matter if it was on YouTube, watching it on TV, going to my family's house on the weekends to watch the pay-per-view. It was always something that I thoroughly enjoyed. And whenever I was in a dark place, wrestling always just was the answer for me. So when PWA started up, I was in foster care at the time and ended up getting into a fight in school and stuff like that. And I had to like take away wrestling for a little bit. And when away from wrestling, it was really all I ever wanted to do. So I was in Ohio for a little bit where there was no schools and stuff like that. So when I ended up coming back to CT, I found Test of Strength and pretty much just let the ball roll from there. Test of Strength really is like helped me morph myself into a way better person and a way better like wrestler. So wrestling was just always the answer for me. So
tell me about what it was like with training with Slick and Test of Strength. They're one of the most prominent schools out of the area in Connecticut.
The first thing when you walk into the Test of Strength door, you'll see the logo on the wall, right? And it's unlearn, learn, and relearn. So that's the first thing that like I drill into my head because no matter where you go, you're always gonna learn something new in wrestling. So always forget what you know at the door and just sit there and just listen. Because if you listen, you will be a way better performer and a way better worker. And that's one of the things that I love to do. And whenever I'm at the dojo, whenever I'm training with Slick, I'm always just trying to hear what he has to say.
Right.
A lot of my training clips that I have of him explaining stuff after practice match and stuff like that goes a long way because his mind for wrestling, especially with the Kowalski legacy, it's just like so vast and enhanced that like you just want to be able to pick his brain no matter the chance, no matter when you can. Slick is a legend, man. Absolutely.
That guy's been everywhere throughout, the 90s and through the 2000s. I mean, I've seen him wrestle for almost 3 decades. He's great.
So I can say that myself. I watched a lot on YouTube, a lot of his NWA stuff with Jeff Jarrett. Like, Slick is a legend, man. He's a
absolutely.
He's an underrated workhorse, that's for sure.
One of the things about him is a lot of guys these days use a lot of the moves that he created from back then,
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a big discussion at the dojo. Like, damn, what else are they gonna rip from Slick? It's funny.
Adonis is in the chat. He says, "What's up? Thank you. We gave you the birthday shout out right at the beginning of the show. So if you missed it, you're gonna have to rewind later. There you go. So after PWA, like you said, tell me about your first match.
My first match that I had on the show or like practice matches?
Yep.
The first match I had on the show was actually the Big Jim Memorial show. And it is just for me, when I go back and talk about it, it's like it's surreal to me to know that like my first match was on a show to honor my big bro. Never in a million years was I ready to work a match on a show. Was I intending to work on the show? Initially, they told me I was going to be in a battle royal, and that was it. Just take an exit, kid. That's it. But initially, I was working at the shoot job where I worked with Jim and stuff like that, and I got a text from the GM, and he's like, "You just got to upgrade, little bro. You're going to be in a tag match teaming with Jay Bricks against the legend Bo Douglas and Barnaby Combs, one of his trainees from Belton." So it's like when I heard that, I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm working this big gym show. It's like it's my debut show. I'm gonna be able to like work with Bo Douglas." I was like, as a fan, I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. But then like the realness like kicked in where it's like, all right, now it's time to show up or show out, like show them why I deserve to be here, you know.
Right.
So when I worked on that show, it was like I had Big Bro right there with me the whole time, guiding me through my first match. It felt like I was in the ring the whole time. You know, for me, getting that exposure right away was surreal to me looking back on the tapes because I could see how green I was. I could see a lot of the stuff that I needed to work in my character to understand who Fly Night really is. So it was like I study that tape a lot because honestly, for me, I'm the first person in my viewing to see somebody do a backflip on a bump and feed because that was crazy to me. But Big Jim is, you know, he's a legend, man, and I'm glad I was able to work with him during the shoot world, being able to understand him as a person outside the ring. Because just not wearing his merch, it's like I got Big Bro literally sitting here all throughout my apartment. I got this right here on my coffee table just to see him. I got all of his Brass City Devils stickers all on the table. Like I got stuff here just dedicated to my Big Bro. It's just when I met him, he really impacted my life.
He was one of the nicest people I've ever encountered in my life. And, you know, such a great dude. Every time we went to a show, you know, whether he'd be working or sitting in the crowd, if he was sitting in the crowd, excuse me, got to move my computer a little bit. All right, there we go. He would, you know, make his way over just to make his way over, say hello, shake my hand. And we always used to talk about music. That was like one of his big things. And my big thing as well was like we would talk. We had a lot of similar musical taste. You know what I mean? A lot of punk rock and metal and stuff. So he was just a great dude to talk to. Very friendly.
I never was really familiar with music like that. And I mean, I've listened to it every now and then, but when I met him, he really opened my mind to a lot of things. I started listening to his music from his band and everything like that. And now that's pretty much what my whole playlist is his music, because I want to be able to still feel like I got my Big Bro in my life. Because like you said, no matter where I was at an NEW show sitting in the crowd, and he was doing the Club Cam stuff with Cam Zagami. And right when he was leaving to go right to PAPW for a show, he walked right up to me before he left. He nudged my shoulder and he like acknowledged me and shook my hand and like said, "What up, little bro?" Like for me, that I'm always gonna remember that. Like me and him always, you know, he's always came up to me. I always walked up on him. Like we've always had that relationship. So
that was right before that appearance was right before he passed, like just within a couple weeks, correct?
That was like a month before he passed. Yeah.
Yep. I remember when he passed, I was actually in the middle of an episode, recording an episode with Big Daddy, the Guardian of Chaos, and he actually got the text message during the recording of the show. So it was like kind of crazy. That's the way that I found out that evening. So anyways, you know, I love talking about him. He's such, like I said, he's a great dude. He was such a great guy, but you know,
he's a legend, man. He's absolutely. That's my Big Bro for life.
Absolutely. Tell me, I'm going to ask you about some particular matches, and then we can get into some other stuff. All right. I want to talk about early on at Shut Up and Wrestle. You had a chance to wrestle with a guy around the Northeast area that's pretty well known, Jiggy Sosa. Tell me about working with Jiggy.
Honestly, I loved working with Jiggy. Being able to pull back the curtain a little bit, Jiggy was somebody that like always sees me at shows, always like came up to me and was like, "Man, how's training going, man? I can't wait to get in the ring with you and actually, you know, work with you and stuff like that." And when the opportunity came, I was so ready to cut the promo and be like, "You know what, Jiggy, this is, you know, long overdue. Me and you have been waiting to go at this for a minute, and now the opportunity's here." So like being able to work in the ring with him was awesome. Like it was me understanding how to work my character and my moveset, because like I'm really still early on in my career. I'm trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, what clicks
Right.
and what doesn't. And around that time, it was still something when I look back and study my matches, because I do that quite often to see like what I can do better in matches, what I can incorporate and do different. But right off there, that was the first time I ever really got to jump off the top rope. And that was something that I always wanted to try to do. And he was like, yeah, man, go for it, bro. Let's do it. Because I sit here and I'll try to because I watched a lot of matches before I got in the ring with him to try to get a better understanding, because that's exactly what you want to do, is learn who you're going to be in the ring with, try to get that chemistry real quick. And when I was studying his matches, I was like, we're going to have a good match. And when he hit me with that super kick, pulling the curtain back a little bit, he looked over and he was like, thank you, because I called the finish in the match, and he was like, I like that finish, kid. We're going to go with your finish. And it was cool to me that I know that a vet gave me, that green light to do something. Usually when you're early on in your career, it's like, all right, we're going to do this, that. And what do you really want to try to get in? Because they'll really just not snub you, but just call the whole match for you. He allowed me to get my offense in. He allowed me to be dominant in the ring, to show my strength and everything like that. So it was just an opportunity to work with, a Northeast legend himself too.
That's awesome. Before we switch over, tell me more about, you've only been doing this probably just over a year officially, I guess, in the ring.
I've been training since I was 15, but working on shows was the Big Gym Show. So I've been almost less than a year.
That's incredible. Because I have to say, honestly, the way you move, you wouldn't know it in the ring. You would not know that you had only been doing that short period, because maybe early on, but you've moved like somebody that's been doing it quite a few years.
Thank you, bro.
So,
for me, I'm passionate about that. So that's why when I'm always studying my tapes, it's always about watching where my feet are. So when I'm in the ring, I have that ring awareness and that ring IQ to know exactly where I am at all times. So I appreciate you being able to acknowledge that, because that goes a long way. And when you are able to study and actually incorporate that in the ring, it goes a long way.
So before we, like I said, before we switch over, who do you think, growing up, who would you say was a very big influence on you? Hold up a second. I got to put this up on the screen here. Adonis. He said Fly Eye is one of my faves, but at the shows, I know it's your birthday. I said I wasn't gonna call you out, but at the shows, it does not seem like he's one of your favorites during the show.
Man,
especially during that.
Fly Nice for the people, man. Let them know. Talk to him.
Especially in those matches with Steve Garcia. So, but we'll get into those. So who would you say actually influenced you as your style and as a professional wrestler, in your youth maybe?
This one really hit home to me as a kid, because this is around the time where I was really becoming a wrestling fan. November 13th, 2005. That's my birthday.
Okay.
I heard Eddie Guerrero passed away as a kid, and that was my 6th birthday. And as a kid, I'm like, damn, my favorite wrestlers, him and Rey Mysterio, were just the tag champs. I watched the No Way Out 2005 match between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio versus the Bashams. I watched that religiously as a kid because I had the Rey Mysterio DVD. I thought that was my coolest tag team. That was my fave. And when Eddie passed, it was it hit really at home to me. As a kid, I loved Eddie Guerrero. I loved Chris Benoit. Jeff Hardy was somebody that allowed me to feel who I was as a person, because as a kid growing up, I was always that outsider. I wasn't really, I always wanted to do the crazy stuff, and everybody was like, oh, that's some Daredevil stuff. Nah, that's weird. But
I'm one of those people, I'm telling you. When it comes to wrestling,
you understand.
No, I do. I'm not going to say it's not necessarily my favorite style, but there are times I will pop when something happens, as long as you can deliver that move and be able to walk out of the ring and not break your back or break your neck. You know what I mean? So it's
one thing in wrestling, being safe. Absolutely.
So there's a lot of that Daredevil style or high flying style, however you want to label it. A lot of it is, worrying about the performers and their delivery on the maneuvers. I mean, Jeff Hardy on numerous occasions could have broken his back. You get what I'm saying? On any of those maneuvers. I mean, and then look at what happened to, like, Owen Hart during a stunt, stuff like
All
that.
right,
That's like the stuff
all
that
right.
I worry about
Here,
when I watch wrestling,
for me,
And I've
that's
always
why my night character comes around in my moves.
right,
When it comes to certain moves, I don't want to be jumping off the top rope because that's not necessarily being fly. You can be fly doing things from the bottom rope, jumping off the second rope, but not necessarily have to do it in a way that's gonna hurt your body. You just got to be smart and work smarter.
right,
Really, not. That's really the number one thing in wrestling. You want to try to alleviate as many bumps as you want because there's a bump card that you have, and you never know
right,
when that's gonna hit. And I could go out next Friday and have a match, and that really be my last match. You never know. So that's why you want to try to at least be safe. Don't do something that you know is gonna jeopardize your health or your opponent's health. And it's real at the end of the day. You don't want to jeopardize what you got going on outside of wrestling. Wrestling is it's not just a hobby to some people. It's everything for some people. But at the end of the day, you still got an outside life. You still got to tend to family, kids, and stuff like that. So you don't want to ruin anything that you got potentially going for yourself.
How did your family act to you wanting to become a professional wrestler?
I had really no support. Everybody was
Okay.
like, "Oh yeah, you can do it. You can do it." But it was like nobody really, was as supportive when I was growing up doing it. They were like, "You want to be a wrestler? That's cool. Why don't you like go to school to be a
Yeah.
doctor or something?" And I was like, "Nah, I really am like struck out on doing this wrestling thing. No matter where I turn to, no matter what was going on in my life, like I always turn to wrestling. Like that for me, that was my gateway to a lot of things. It was me being stressed out. All right, I'm just gonna put on wrestling and not be stressed out anymore. That was always my answer. So
Yeah.
um,
It's understandable. I mean, wrestling is, it's for me, you see me at all the shows. I show up at a lot of those shows. Guardian of Chaos is in the chat. Hello, sir. Thank you for tuning in. Happy to see you here.
up
Um,
to
yeah, man. It's just, there's so much though out there. It's hard to pick and choose sometime what to watch. Every week there's something new on TV. But,
as a
but you
kid
see me at the
growing up,
shows. You see me at the shows. It's like I do. It's like a stress reliever. Just getting out, and I bring my little kid. Try to get him into it. Now he was talking about you the other day. He talks about Sunset. He talks about even the fans, Sunset,
he's
or excuse me, Adonis and stuff.
he's invested, and that's what we need though is more people supporting indie wrestling because that's what bringing people to the big leagues and to the big times right now.
Right.
Regardless what reports are saying online and stuff like that of them looking for college people and stuff, it's more or less they're looking for people that are passionate about this, that want to do this, that
Right.
drive they were kids. Because some people just come into this, it's a hobby to them. It's just another Saturday that they're just trying to enjoy. I'm not shooting on anybody, but it's like some people are really like gun ho about doing this for a living and wanting to do this, and are scratching and clawing in any way that they can to reach this brass ring that everybody is talking about. So,
Right. Johnny Burke is in the chat. Thank you for tuning in, Johnny.
JP,
You want to talk about a passionate fan? This guy over here, Johnny Burke, man, this guy's going everywhere.
go way back. We were in high school together, man.
Oh yeah.
Everybody was on his Facebook lives trying to clown him and joke with him and quote unquote bully him in a way. It was not funny to me, because they're sitting here joking about wrestling to him and teasing him about it. And for me, I always loved wrestling, and I always, John, when he started training, I was so supportive of him, and I still am. I want JB to reach his dream and have his first match and be able to, say that he does this for a living. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how I feel. And I want JB to feel the same way. That's my homie.
Yeah, I love Johnny. When I see him at shows, I see him quite a bit at shows. When I get out there to the shows that he's at, man, and great guy right there, man.
He's been on WWE TV more than all of us. It's crazy.
I saw him the day after Mania. I was like, hey, that looks like Johnny. So yeah,
I'm sitting here watching SummerSlam, and I'm like, is that John?
yeah.
John? I'm like, what the hell? sitting on my TV screen. I had to rewind and go all the way back and pause it right there. I'm like, no way, that's John. That's John freaking Burke on my TV screen right now.
The Guardian of Chaos has a question, Fly. What is your current inspiration in the business?
For me, I have a lot on my shoulders. So for me, I just want to be an inspiration to my little brothers and my little sisters and people that are there as fans that are young and not really sure what they want to do. That's who I'm really trying to do this for now. You know, I'm not trying to do this for myself. I'm trying to reach my dream at the end of the day. But for me, I just want people to know that this dream is attainable. You can reach for this because I'm so passionate and so like ambitious about doing this wrestling thing that it isn't just something that I dreamt of anymore. I'm really manifesting it every single day. So for me to go out and have some fan tell me like, oh, Fly, nah, you did this for me, you know, at the end of the day, the minute that it happens, because I have a lot of supporters now on social media and stuff like that, that I want to be able to be like, damn, you know, he's a great role model at the end of the day, doing this, you know, for the kids. I'm not doing this anymore for myself anymore. I want to be able to be that role model that I was looking up to as a kid that I didn't have. So that I want to be the little kid, or hold on, I'm trying to word this the right way. You know, I want to be that model as a kid that I didn't have, you know, somebody to look up to, be the person that I didn't have.
I see how you are at the shows, post matches and stuff like that with the fans and with my young son, you know what I mean? And he loves talking to you. So it's like that's a good thing, you know what I mean? It's just don't forget that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of guys will go on and just forget that part of their career. You know, don't care about the fans, but you know, there's a bunch of guys out there. I mean, you know, out there, you know, you work Paradise Alley and Test Train and stuff. But there's a bunch of guys that actually just sit around and talk with the fans. We hang out post show. My kids just run around. You know what I mean? And you've always been good to him.
No, absolutely, man. Steve, for me, thank you, bro. Right then and there, like I'm glad he comes up to me, he gives me the fist bumps, he too sweets me, he's cheering Fly. That goes a long way for me. I'm working this heel character, and it's not even a heel character. It's who I am to the max. But it's like when I still hear things like that out in the crowd, it's like, damn, that feels it feels good to me to know. Like I feed off that in the crowd. That's what makes me, you know, so live and what brings my energy out there. So just hearing the little things when people are cheering Fly, nah, it's like y'all love me. Y'all know what I'm here for. Like for me, Adonis was the one person because I know for a fact that he loved me at first, but everything I did, he just wanted to, you know, shit on because that was what he's used to. He wasn't used to seeing me there. He's used to seeing, you know, his favorite sunset. But at the end of the day, he's got a new favorite, you know.
He always gets on my case for cheering for the heels. So, the Guardian of Chaos has another question.
Not heels, we're telling.
There you go. Who's the one person you would like to square off against outside of PAPW?
Outside of PAPW? Honestly, I would love to go one-on-one with Ryan Frost. That's my big bro right there.
Great guy. Yeah.
I feel like me and him would tear it up. That's my big bro.
I've seen him wrestle, yeah.
I would definitely love to run it up with Ichiban again because I actually worked Ichiban back in November, like a month after that big gym show, and it was a quick little 5-minute match. Went in there, got my stuff in. He ended up getting the win on me, and I would definitely love to run it back with Ichiban.
I'd love to see that match. I didn't even know that match existed, so I'm gonna have to dig that out somewhere. I'm sure. What's that?
It's in the archives. I got that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That was an unlisted video.
It hasn't been on Kincaid's page yet, or no?
No, that's a secret. That's one of my own. One of my secrets is.
Tell me about your feud with Sunset Steve Garcia. And there is one thing. One other thing before. Why the hell did you steal his shoes, dude?
Listen, man.
You broke into his house.
Listen, man, those went for a quick $20 on the street real quick, man. I flipped those to a crack can in New Haven, man, right outside the block. Made my $20 back. He'll get him
There
back.
you go.
I'm pretty sure he can get him back. It was right down the street.
Right.
But nah, me and Sunset, we go way back. Back when I was staying in New Haven and stuff like that, I met him when I was young, and he ended up doing his own little personal thing and fighting some personal demons, and that's when I ended up going and fighting my own personal demons myself. And he got out. He started following this wrestling thing. I started following this wrestling thing myself. It's always something that I've been passionate for and always wanted, and we ended up drifting apart, really. And so,
Right.
pretty much when I seen him doing this thing at PAPW, I was like, man, he's doing this thing without me. He ain't looking out for me, because when I would have came up, I would have looked out for my boys and gave my boys an opportunity to put them on. And when I got that call under the radar, Greg Baylor hit me up. He was like, listen, man, I hurt my ankle. I can't really wrestle. And I know you know Sunset Steve. And he was lined up in that gauntlet match, #1 to face him. And when I came out, it was like looking at my old friend, like, listen, man, you wasn't expecting me at all. So when me and him seen eye to eye for the first time in a very long time, it was like, this is going to be good. And I know the crowd is going to eat this up because it's real. This is real at the end of the day. It's not something that we're making up. It's not something we're making up. This ain't no make-believe. This is real.
I have a feeling this isn't over yet, right? There's still more to come. It's got to be.
I'm a little tight too. I seen them get thrown in with little Miracle Generation and stuff like that at Power Play, but it's all good. This ain't over between me and Sunset. This ain't over.
What about being teamed up with Greg Baylor and you know, for a short time, Mickey Biggs? He's not there right now, but you were teamed up with the two of them over there at Paradise Alley.
For me, this is all business. For me, when it comes to Greg, if that check don't clear, Greg can get it too. I'm just being real. If that check don't clear, Greg Baylor's ass is on the line. Let's keep it apart.
We got another question from the Guardian of Chaos. Where do you see yourself a year from now? And stealing shoes is thug life.
Listen, man. Sunset had, but a year from now, definitely want to see myself reaching out to work more shows in like New York and New Jersey, because I already did my first show up in New Hampshire. Met a lot of people up there from I think APW, Atlantic Pro Wrestling. And
okay.
Once you reach out on social media to more people, it's just a matter of time before, you know, somebody's like, oh, hey, this is the guy from over here did this. But it's always trying to just get your nose in somewhere, kick your foot in the door, just to get some exposure everywhere. Because I've been doing a lot of shows in Mass. I want to end up doing some shows for NWWE up in Rhode Island. I've seen a lot of the stuff that they're doing, and pretty much just be working all around New England right now. I want to branch out more.
That's, you know, New England has a very rich wrestling scene. It always has. It's been my favorite area with Mass, you know, Connecticut, you know, and Maine, New Hampshire. And it also has a humongously just great history. So you being a part of that, you're putting, absolutely, you know, putting in the work
of professional wrestling. If I must.
Absolutely. So you're putting in the work. You're out there making the contacts and such, right? Trying to get it done.
Absolutely. Social media is a wonderful tool.
Absolutely. I think that could be a very good thing for professional wrestling. It could also be a very bad thing at times for, you know, people, absolutely, but you got to know what's that?
It could come back to harm some people in the end. Yeah. How you approach certain things on social media, though, because I've been put in Facebook jail for the stupidest thing. TV legend. Like, Facebook just wasn't.
I just suffered my first community strike. It wasn't your fault, but it was Adonis's fault. So in the 15 years that I've been subscribed or using whatever.
Facebook.
Yeah, using Facebook as a joke, and you know, and I couldn't believe it after all that. I've been a good customer for 15 years, and
I've been a good.
All right, so tell me what else is in store soon. Where else are you working? You said you worked for, what's it like working for you know, Kevin Landry's Shut Up and Wrestle?
It's pretty dope. It's family friendly. You get up there, everybody's, you know, really humble, you know, willing to work with you, and pretty much it's like a practice match. Get some repetitions in. It's a free event, you know. Just pretty much just try to practice and get some stuff in. Pretty much understand, you know, what works and what doesn't work. Try to figure some stuff like trying to get the kinks out, really. Just get them reps in, because a lot of people need reps and reps. You know, working in front of a live crowd, not a lot of people get to do that. And especially the past, like, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people weren't really used to working with the crowd. So now some people need
Right.
to adjust and learn how to work in front of a crowd. Because that's where most of my practice matches came, was during COVID. And it was hard because when I first worked that big gym show, I didn't pander to the crowd. I wasn't really, you know, 100% in what I was doing. I was just trying to make sure I didn't mess up anything in the match as a rookie. So
Yeah, that was a whole strange period. Speaking of which, what we were just talking about in social media, that was a very important period for social media involving professional wrestling, because it was the way to keep things active. If you weren't on a wrestler promoting yourself and doing such things on social media, you know, what was wrong with you? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because you're in the independent scene, because you know you're not on TV. You need to promote yourself and keep your name out there, and you know all that such stuff. You know, a lot of people were creating short videos or doing such things with YouTube. What's the other one?
a lot of professional wrestlers too. TikTok is
Yeah.
a big. I never
TikTok.
really
That's yeah.
did, but TikTok has been key to a lot of people doing little dance videos and stuff like that to get a following.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. There is another question here. In the future, if you could choose WWE or AEW, or it continues MLW, NWA, Impact, or New Japan, any thoughts on that?
I've always been an Impact guy.
Really?
I've always loved having alternatives rather than the monopoly of wrestling. When big guys were leaving companies like Colonel, I was like, these guys aren't just. As a kid, I was smarter to the business. I was like, these guys aren't done
Right.
with wrestling. No way. So when I found out that there was more wrestling as a kid, I was like, no way, this is awesome. When I was scrolling through the TV channel, TV listings, and I found
Yep.
Ring of Honor and stuff from New Japan way back in the day, I was like, wow, this is just cool. So now I'm really like opening my mind to more wrestling, and I was just like dumbfounded as a kid, just watching all this wrestling as a kid. That's kind of where I've just basically put my mind to, and all my YouTube is wrestling matches. My whole entire subscription feed is just indie wrestling, MLW. I ended up hanging out with Myron Reed at that
That's
show
awesome.
like a month after my the big gym show, and I was just hanging out with him, and he was just humble as anybody else can be. He told me I reminded him of a wrestler that he worked in New York, Matt Travis, and that's kind of what like sparked that conversation, because I knew who he was talking about. And when he first told me that, it wasn't the first time that I heard that. So when he said it to me, it was like, oh wow. So now somebody that I can consider a famous wrestler just kind of told me I resemble somebody that he knows. And he was like, man, I just wanted to come up and hug you, bro. And he was like, yo, during intermission, bro, we're going to get up. We're going to hang out. We're going to talk, da, 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 da. And during intermission, he came out. We hung out. We talked. He was just basically telling me that this is attainable. This dream is real. Like, you can make a living off of doing this without WWE, without AEW. You can make a living off of this, living your dream independently. You know what I'm saying? We're entrepreneurs at the end of the day, and we have to treat ourselves as a brand and as such. So that's kind of what I learned from him. He's a young legend in this business.
Right. For anybody that does not know who Matt Travis is, he died from a tragedy just, what, 3 years ago, probably? 4 years ago. Yeah.
19, right? COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Murder by
was
kick
tragic.
ever.
Yeah.
By
It was a very sad story. Thank you, Guardian of Chaos, for tuning in. As always, you're the best, my brother. So yeah, where else do you want to go with this? So you watch a lot of Impact, you said, right? That's always been your thing, finding alternatives. I've always been kind of in the same boat as a way, you know, when I was a kid, you know, of course, I discovered WWF in 1984. That was when I discovered professional wrestling. But it's like within 2 years, I discovered the NWA, and then right from there, that was like my whole thing. was the NWA. That's like pretty much. And then I started finding other things, just like ESPN played wrestling. I found everything that was on there, Memphis, all this other stuff. Obviously, right now there's probably more wrestling than there was back then as a kid.
There's so many
Yeah.
wrestling. You got IWTV, you got Fight, YouTube, you got all the networks like that you can subscribe to. Wrestling is just everywhere now, and it's a blessing that our business is booming as such right now. We deserve that, because at a point it was just you either watch WWE or you better be going to rent VHS tapes or have somebody that you could bootleg wrestling for. It was so hard to come by other outlets of wrestling like 10, 15 years ago.
You see, after thank you, Guardian of Chaos. I really appreciate that. What was I going to say? In after 2002, like with the closure of WCW in like say 2001, that was, and then ECW in 2000, wrestling, was in a dark period at least in the United States. It was just there was one promotion pretty much, and then I think it was 2003 Impact started, or TNA, excuse me, however you want to name it. So it was just very hard to keep up. There was not a lot of professional wrestling. You had one major wrestling promotion on TV, on cable TV. And if you didn't like it, there was a lot of people that gave up on WWF years prior. It was hard to sit through. But then slowly but surely, TNA and Ring of Honor started up. So these alternatives were forming, but they're a little bit more underground. TNA didn't have cable TV rather, for years. They're on pay-per-view for quite some time. So, but it's just so amazing now that there's wrestling on every single day of the week, 7 days a week. And it's not just one show. You can spend an entire Saturday just watching on IWTV. They'll have like 4 or 5 shows back to back to back. It's amazing.
It's a blessed time to be a wrestling fan. That's how I see it. I'm not one to sit here and argue between watching WWE or watching you. I'm not gonna be the one to they're doing stupid shit there or they're doing flippy stuff over there. It's just I just watch it to watch wrestling now. As a kid, when I had a chance to watch wrestling, when I thought wrestling was lame, it was like, all right, can't switch the channel. I'll go watch a movie now or something. Now I can switch to watch other wrestling. It's different now. It's an opportunity to study and perfect your craft too. You can learn from stuff that people are doing and learn from that. That's just how I see it. There's always an opportunity to learn from something.
GOC has one last question. Who has hit you the hardest in the ring?
I'm gonna say Sunset. Me and Sunset have kept it real tight and real snug, and I like it like that. That's really the only way I would want to keep it. So you better keep it real.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. And Jonathan Sardi says, what is your favorite match of all time?
My favorite match of all time. I am going to say it's going to be between Jeff Hardy and the CM Punk matches that I watched, the series that they had as a kid when I was a kid, or Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit that they did on ECW. And that's one of my matches.
Chris Benoit is probably my second favorite wrestler of all time. The first being Arn Anderson. And I remember when I found out that Chris had passed, I just really didn't believe that he was guilty of the situation that he is accused of. There's a lot of holes in the story still, but I'll just leave that up to conspiracy theorists to talk about.
The truth is out there somewhere. The only way we'll ever really come to the truth of stuff like that is if it comes out. But other than that, we just really gonna sit there and question everything until it's like, what is real anymore? You know what I'm saying? It's trust me, as a smart fan, I've sat there and watched all the YouTube videos and tried to crack the code, stuff like that. But it's just I gotta leave it alone at some point. It's driving some people crazy. Some people are really are gun and really think that stuff is really real, and you never know what's real anymore. The world is so crazy, you never know what's real anymore until you see it confirmed on CNN or on TV. You know what I'm saying? On multiple news outlets. So the world is crazy, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, the GOC says only the Lord knows. That is correct, sir. That is correct. So, what is like? I'm sorry, I just totally forgot the question. What's your who has been your favorite opponent? Obviously, you know you've worked with guys like Sunset and Jiggy. Who's been your favorite opponent?
Mm.
And what's the favorite
Honestly,
match that you've had?
one of my favorites I had is working with Stevie Legend recently
Okay,
at
at
the
PAPW. Yep.
yeah. Stevie, and I'm pulling back the curtain on this, is somebody that I've seen put in a lot of work and get the short end of the stick a lot of times. And for me, I've always said that I want to work with Stevie and I want to give him one of his best matches and give him pretty much the showing that he needs to be Stevie Legend.
Right.
That's why I'm always sitting there. I'm poking fun at him. I'm teasing him on social media, trying to get him riled up and push him to that limit where he comes out of that shell, because I see so much potential in that kid. That's why I really was pushing for that match for a very long time. And when it got confirmed for alley fights, I was like, I bet. Like, this is going to be, something that we can work with right now. Because we have another match lined up for Tough and Talented coming up in June. So me and Stevie working there, it's another opportunity for me, to push this kid to the moon and, let him show how big of a star he really could be.
He's a young kid, and there's a lot of potential. And I know the love for the business is there in that kid. I see him, on social media. So I wish nothing but the best for that kid, and I hope he's rapidly improving. Every time that he goes out there.
Absolutely.
So apparently, the Guardian of Chaos lied. He has one more question. He said, "Best advice you've ever gotten, and from who?"
From Big Jim. Big Jim told me, slow down. And if you feel like you're still going too fast, slow down even more. Because when I was in the ring the first, especially during training matches, I would be rushing to the next spot, just trying to, worry about what I'm doing in the ring, and everything would just be, so fast paced that it wouldn't really look good. It was just, not it. So
Right.
when he told me to slow down, and it's something that I tell myself before I even walk out the curtain, I lick myself up, I get hyped, but then I also tell myself to slow down and feel it, because as a wrestler, you don't want to just go out there and play pretend. You want to react off the crowd. You want to feed off that crowd. You want to get them into it. You want them to feel what you're feeling, because if you're just sitting there playing an act, you're not getting a real reaction from people, And now
Right.
I'm really gung ho about just being myself, being real, and just reacting to situations, because that's what's been getting me the best reactions at PAPW. So just being myself and being real, slowing down, has been the number one advice that I got from Big Jim.
Rest in peace, Big Jim Anderson. Yes, Guardian of Chaos. Like I said, great guy. Miss him. Mystery Man has joined the chat. We are interviewing indie wrestler, local talent, the flyest in the room, Fly Ni Noreaga, about his wrestling career, his goals, and happenings going on.
Let them know we live action, baby. We live action.
Yes, absolutely. So what else do you have? You working out this weekend anywhere?
Absolutely not. This weekend, I'm actually just shoot job this week. That's all. I
Okay.
do for 7 days a week.
Oh, hold up a second. Did you see this? This gentleman, Mystery Man. I'm not sure who the hell this Mystery Man is, but
What? Okay.
is that Sunset Steve?
That probably is Sunset Steve on his burner account. Come on now. Nobody prefers Sunset Steve. Sunset Sissy. You mean Sunset Sissy, huh?
That's got to be Adonis, maybe. Maybe another one, because I blocked one of his accounts. So, for trolling.
Action.
Got you. Johnny Burke. What's going on? All right. So you're off this weekend, you said. You're working your shoot job. What else you got in store? Let everybody know before we get out of here. Or if there's anything else you want to promote.
Well, other than that, I've been working on trying to get this sponsorship with Essentia. I love Essentia Water. I've been, reaching out on them at social media any way that I can. When I walk through the curtain, that's the bottle of water I got in my hand. I'm trying to, like I said before, you're a brand in wrestling and you got to treat yourself as such. You're an entrepreneur, sponsorships, any way that you can promote yourself, get yourself out there is the best way. Like, I'm trying to, line myself up with different clothing brands and stuff like that to try to just push my character, because at the end of the day, being the flyest in the room, you don't want to stick to just being, you don't want to just stick to being, bland and just, one outfit and stuff like that. That's kind of the reason why I want to spice it up and do something different now and try to like push the envelope as far as I can.
Where can we find Fly on social media? That's correct.
I'm on Twitter as real_flyguy9. I'm on Instagram at official_flyguy9. Facebook, Fly9 Noreaga. So I'm on a lot of social media outlets. I'm on YouTube as Fly9 Noreaga. I'm starting to, when you actually upload some of your footage too, I've been trying to incorporate Don's footage, Fogman's footage, and your footage into trying to like morph into just like one big video and try to like get different angles and stuff like that. And
let me know and I'll send it to you. Yeah,
absolutely. I try to like, when I'm working in the truck, sometimes I'm not usually the one driving, so I have a lot of like downtime while I'm sitting in the truck to edit videos like that. And that's pretty much one of the ways I like to like work on my social medias and push my brand. So when I get my YouTube lined up with stuff like that, I want to upload pretty much all the videos to the Fly9 Noreaga channel and stuff like that. So
also, next week's episode of Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling Alley Fights, the series, will feature Fly9 Noreaga and Stevie Legend. So make sure you tune into that, the match that we were talking about earlier. Are you on TikTok, sir?
No, I am not. I'm not. I made a TikTok, but I never, I ended up deleting the app. I couldn't figure it out.
Oh my God. It's very, very easy.
I'm a boomer on certain apps. Like,
come on, that's important to help get your name out there. I do. It's funny because I use it, but I end up I'll go through like 3 days where I'll upload like 6 to 10 videos a day, and then I won't use it for like 2 months. So it's like I don't keep up with it well enough, like I should.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. I want to thank you. What's up? Did it freeze again?
I'm thanking you, brother.
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming on. And of course, go out there and subscribe to all his social media, share, follow, all that fun stuff. Buy the merch when it comes out. He's going to be premiering new gear at his next show. So I just did see him post that on social media. Looking forward to that. And thank you very much for coming on. And thank you for everybody that tuned in. Thank you, Johnny Burke, for the compliment. I appreciate that. I appreciate you sticking around and watching. Thank you very much. And we'll talk to you guys. Me and Marcel will be returning tomorrow night. Have a good one.
No, showtime.